This is the April 22nd, 2024 City Council meeting in the City of Crescent Springs. Start with a pledge and a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord, we thank you for bringing us here together today. Let everything we do be the best for our residents and those that visit our city. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Roll call, please.
Janine Bell Smith.
Present.
Mark Wittenberger.
Here.
Brian Barclay.
Here.
John Kylie.
Here.
Bill Schultz.
Here.
Carol McGowan.
First order of business is the approval of the March 25th City Council meeting minutes. You all should receive those. During our conversation, I'll take a motion to approve. Sure. Motion. Second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Janine Bell Smith.
Yes.
Mark Wittenberger.
Yes.
Brian Barclay.
Yes.
John Kylie.
Yes.
Bill Schultz.
Yes. Thank you. Next item is the April 8th, 2024 special meeting minutes. Again, you all received those. I'll take a motion to approve. Make a motion to approve. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Janine Bell Smith.
Yes.
Mark Wittenberger.
Yes.
Brian Barclay.
Yes.
John Kylie.
Yes.
Bill Schultz.
Yes. Thank you very much. The mayor's report is very brief. Most of the things we covered in the city administrative report. I just know as the season's changing up and down, people come to park more and give us more work for the public works department. So I just want to give a shout out to them for all the extra they had to do. There was one incident that took, let's just call it a great deal of cleaning, and I appreciate what they did, and hopefully people can learn to respect the property. Chief Wayne.
Good evening. I'll be brief as well. 39 fire calls for the month of March, 123 year to date, 97 ambulance calls, 296 year to date. We received 17 applications for the 8 paid positions. Interviews started this afternoon and will conclude on Friday. And hopefully we will have 8 new employees by then. As some may have heard, the discussion about the new ambulance came up in the fire authority meeting. We did have a quote from an ambulance provider, roughly $375,000 for a new ambulance. The fire authority agreed that this needs to be done through the fair bid process that we signed with the state of Kentucky on procurement. So bids will be due back on May 20th, and then we'll be open at that fire authority meeting. I did reach out to every ambulance provider locally and offer them an invitation to bid. And lastly, I have got a presentation from Stryker. Stryker is the company that provides our ambulance cots, our heart monitors, our automatic CPR machines, and our stair chairs. We have set together a subcommittee to determine whether it's a better program to lease the equipment from them or to buy it outright. For example, the cot for this new ambulance, the cot alone is $10,000. The system that is required by the state to lift the cot into the ambulance is another $10,000. And they have come up with a 10-year program. Roughly would cost us $125,000 a year to cover all of our equipment. And that is a 5-year replacement on some of those items. For instance, if we chose to replace the heart monitors, which are $35,000, If we chose to replace 3 of those or 2 cots, it's based on the 10-year program. So we're investigating that right now to see if it's a good deal. Also included, we asked to include the city's defibrillators and the police's defibrillators so that everything is on a maintenance-free program that is covered by Stryker. And it's quite expensive, but when you add up the prices that we're paying for especially the heart monitors and the cots, it may work out to our advantage. We did have an assistant chief in the city of Covington who entered into this program about 3 years ago. He came to the meeting and spoke how well it works for Covington. It's just something that's being looked at this time, certainly not in this year's budget.
Anything else from the fire company side?
The ambulance that.
Mhm.
Like, this is not expected, I assume?
No. So we have a cycle. Every 7 years, we replace an ambulance. It takes almost 2 years now to get an ambulance. So what that will actually do is put us to 8.5 years on the next ambulance or it should be nothing new. We've talked about it for a while, but it's just if we don't, most people don't even keep their cars 7 years, let alone an ambulance.
Yeah, no, my impression from what you said is that.
No.
And then the lease program, I mean, instead of coming with your hand out every 2 months, and
Right.
replace this, replace that. The need is there, whether this program's a good fit or not, it's what the subcommittee's working on.
Right.
So, I don't have anything, I mean, you covered all of it. The other thing I have is, we stopped up, my son and I, my 3-year-old and I stopped up in the front too, and we just walked in and you guys, Fred was awesome. He walked them through and, I mean, Frank was just bouncing all over the place and it was a really good time. He enjoyed it. He was super excited.
Good.
So I appreciate that. I've been saying I was going to do it for the last 1.5 years, but so thank you to your crew for hosting us.
We will have an update on the firehouse on Thursday. A little delay with the demolition company removing the dirt from the front of the building. We expressed our concerns to Century about how long it's taking because the concrete for the front apron has got to sit for 30 days before the ladder truck can drive on it. So they have not poured any concrete yet. It's not close to being ready and needs some drainage in the front of the firehouse. So we're looking at probably mid-June right now to fully occupy and operate it the way it should be. A couple more delays that could be weather related, but not necessarily.
A big shout out to Jim Cahill too.
Right.
He's really been pushing a lot of this stuff through, and he hasn't seen a sunny day in a while on this project, and so he's really been letting see him say thanks.
Absolutely.
Good, thanks,
All
Chief.
right, thank you.
Chief Hall.
Good evening, everybody. I'll try to be brief as well.
Making last minute notes there. before we-
There is something that I'll add there at the very last. I wanted to have an address for you guys. March statistics, we had 1,166 calls for service. Looking at the dispatch calls in comparison to all calls, you'll see that the month of March was a little flipped. Villa Hills had 55% of the calls, and Crescent Springs had 45% of the calls, and the dispatch calls, taking out all the self-initiated calls. I did a little research on that because that is a little flip of what we normally have. And we had an increase in fire calls, squad calls, and we had a couple storm-related calls. The difference between the calls is only 39. So when you flip that, and we had several more calls to Madonna Manor and calls in Villa Hills, or in Villa Hills in comparison to Crescent Springs, it seems to be where the biggest number lay for the month of March. We had 14 crimes, had 20 traffic collisions, issued 62 citations, 32 courtesy notices, 3 e-call responses, 10 JC3 domestic reports, and 5 crisis interventions. I did provide the map of where all of our citations have been written. Again, nothing has really changed from month to month along the I-75 and Buttermilk Pike corridor. Traffic collisions, as I said before, we had 20 traffic collisions. 3 of those were injury traffic collisions. One was on Bromley Crest Springs, one was on I-75 South, and the other one was down in 3000 block of Amsterdam Road involving a motorcycle. Luckily, no fatalities and no serious physical injuries on those. Again, you can take a look at the top roadway collisions. Buttermilk is our number one provider. I know I say that every month, and it's a broken record, but it is what it is, and reporting that stuff. Criminal investigation, Detective Lucas stays very busy. He spent a lot of the time in March closing out a lot of his cases. He is currently in the Criminal Justice Academy presented by the Department of Criminal Justice and Training. This is a 10-week course. It's broken up in 2 different sections where they explore all different types of avenues. It's the deepest dive into criminal investigations that the Department of Criminal Justice Training offers, including evidence collection, processing, going to the body farm in Tennessee to learn different levels of decomposition and everything like that. Hopefully, he seems to be enjoying the class quite a bit. Upon the completion, he will be the first Villa Hills officer detective that actually completes the 10-week course. So we look forward to doing for him completing that course, only to enhance his effectiveness. So that's what he spent most of his time closing. A lot of these cases are. We have had increases in theft of vehicles, actually theft from vehicles. We did have one vehicle stolen. It was a Kia. So the theft from vehicles that there is again not a single one that did not occur with a locked vehicle. So they are all unlocked. Please, as a reminder, all citizens, please lock your vehicles. Don't put things out in your car while it's literally right on the passenger seat or right there. Don't make an open invitation for criminals because they are looking for an easy score. They check your doors, it's unlocked, they grab your wallet. All I can do is implore you that we will try to do our very best. We're investigating those crimes as it is, but help us. Lock your doors, please. Department training, we focused on search and seizure policies and the KLC filming videos. Those are videos provided by the Kentucky League of Cities. Basically, a lot of that has to do with First Amendment auditors and how officers are to react to those First Amendment auditors. You can go on YouTube and view any number one of those, and we want to be on the good side of that audit. So just treat the citizens with respect and accordance in their due rights. The K-9 Monthly had 7 deployments. 5 were within the city, 2 are assist. He's credited with 1 no bite apprehension. That one was a parole absconder from a local hotel establishment adjacent to this fair city. I'm going to leave that open. You guys can make your discretion on that and figure out who that is. The wanted suspect came out of the room, the hotel room. They were obviously watching on it. The person went about 25 yards from the room. Officers tried to contact the suspect. Suspect turned around, ran back towards the room. Onyx was released, and that suspect was able to just shut the door right before Onyx ran right into the door. So, but they made entry. Person was proned out and was taken into custody without incident because they didn't want any part of the dog. So, good job, Onyx and Officer Doyle. He had his training, obviously, spent the most time with narcotics and tracking and obedience and bite work. So it's pretty much the same across the board every month. Department overtime, we had 48.5 hours of overtime. 7.5 of that was in highway safety, 14 for court, 11 was in investigation administration, and we did have 16 hours in shift coverage. While we were down 1 officer, we had 1 in FTO, and this is the time of year that we have the officers go 1 on vacations, 2. We have schooling that we try to make sure that we have to practice them to. So just a little bit of shift coverage that we had to cover on that end to make sure that we're properly staffed. Just some department news. All of the Durangos are outfitted with the Axon fleet cameras. So all of our cruisers, minus my vehicle and the detective's vehicle, have Axon in-car fleet systems. So kudos to Sergeant Brockman for really heading that up, and Axon for getting their installs. I filed the paperwork today through PMAM, through the Kentucky Association of Chiefs of Police for our 7th accreditation after all policy reviews and updates and everything like that. So we should be moving forward with that and getting a response from them soon. Officer Lawson left our agency, returned to Sadieville Police Department. So that did put us down another officer. We were able to turn around and hired Officer Watson, Adam Watson. He's a lateral hire from the Kenton County Police Department. He has 6 years of experience. Former canine handler as well, and he seems to be, he's out of FTO now and on the streets and doing very, very well. So we're happy to have him here. Officer Bradford and Officer Myros were honored. They both received governor's awards, one for the occupant protection, seatbelt award, and the other one for impaired driving enforcement, DUI enforcement. So kudos to them. Congratulations to both of them for receiving their plaques. Detective Lucas, as I said, he is attending a criminalistics academy, but he also did attend the IAAI conference, which is for arson investigation down in Lexington. So appreciate him going to that. Two last announcements. The ones that I was writing down really quick, or actually this one I already had. Last week was National Telecommunicators Week. I know that was last week, but again, I'll reiterate that they are the first line for us, and they save countless lives. So appreciate all the services they do to be on the other end of that. The last thing that I was writing down is May 15th is the Police Officer Memorial that's being held down in Covington at the Northern Kentucky Police Memorial at 10 o'clock, May 15th at 10 a.m. The address is 215 Greenup Street. If anybody wants to attend, the Attorney General is the guest speaker. Russell Coleman will be the guest speaker for that. It's held annually, have a flyover. It's just a great little tribute to our police officers during National Police Week.
Any questions?
I have a question about the 2021 case that was reopened.
Uh-huh.
So the first question, like, take years
Eight-
process.
18 months is the set out on that. To follow up with that, that's depending upon the severity of the case. Yes, it's a sexual assault. It should be high priority. We don't control that. There are all of that gets sent down to the Central Lab in Frankfurt. They have 2 forensics examiners. I believe that Representative Banta just was able to get additional funding for them to maybe get things up here in Northern Kentucky as well. That is unfortunately the turnaround.
But the second question is just the mechanism of how the case would open. So you close it even though you're going to reopen it later?
You can always close a case or inactivate it. It's the same with closed/inactive. So that's why it's always deemed that. You can close the case, you can always open it back up. It's not like it goes away. It's just there. If we don't have any pertinent anything to go on, at some point it's an inactivated case, and then it just turns into a closed case, just for a closure rate.
Anything else? Thanks, Chief.
Thanks.
Daily, please.
Thank you, Mayor Doherty. I have a few items on my reports. First one is the medical cannabis discussion. Director Reddy from Planning and Development Services of Kenton County will be here at the May 13th caucus meeting to present and discuss on the topic of cannabis. Like I mentioned in the email and also in the past report, we as a city will have to make future policy decisions on whether to allow medical cannabis business to operate locally and determine where these businesses can be located at and what. So, again, PDS is assisting Kenton County communities to help, navigate through the issue from a zoning standpoint. And in your packet, you have a memorandum that came from Director Reddy and PDS Attorney Timothy Tyson, and it's very lengthy. I also sent this out in an email, so please take the time to read this thoroughly. Please write your questions down and have them prepared for the May 13th meeting when Director Reddy comes to speak to us. And if there's any questions in between, don't hesitate to reach out to me or even Mike Baker, because we're definitely going to have to really rely on Mike as well on this topic and direction. There's a lot to do, and PDS did a great job of putting all this research together. So next thing is
Although, before we move on, can we just kind of stop there? So our role in this whole legislation is around the business side, right? Like if I were to get my own car, it's not illegal, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure everyone's like just businesses operating.
It's just business.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure everyone gets.
Could I follow up as well? So I have a feeling that this council is gonna be pretty permissive of this. I mean, in the event that the council's like, yeah, fine, we're gonna run this in the city. It's PDS's recommendation, and I'll read it, of course. Still, there's a whole bunch of rules and stuff where it's like, say yes, and you're good.
No, they do not, they're just trying to assist everyone with the, the information they've given us, but ultimately it's gonna be up to the city whether we allow it to operate as a business here in the community.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if our answer is yes, we'll allow it to happen, is there still a ton of work to do, or?
Obviously it's brand new, so yes, I think there's gonna be a lot of. Obviously there's two things, obviously you could have a business that sells it, and there's also the cultivating. From what I looked at with RMAC and Crescent Spring, I don't think there's any area for cultivating that's gonna fall within the zone. As far as the business part, I think there are some areas as you come off Buttermilk and work that might fall in with potential.
Is there suggested, something that they want this to fall into, or is it just, it's all in here?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a lot of suggestions in there, which is great. They've really done their homework and, Director Reddy, she is fantastic, and I know Mr. Tyson does a fantastic job for them.
Do we know what the three CBD places fall under, what zone they fall under currently?
Neighborhood.
Where are they?
They're they're along off of Buttermilk.
One of them ever crossing.
I don't know the names of them. There's one next to USPS.
USPS.
One near
One next
Delta,
to
one near-
Dunkin' Donuts. And there's one next to
Gold Star.
Gold Star.
Gold Star, that area up there is mixed commercial. Buttermilk Crossing is
Next.
which, I can't remember right offhand.
There's
It's not mixed commercial. Mixed commercial is only that section.
Mike, you have anything on this vacancy?
I read the memo that was sent out, and yes, I think there will be some work for council and us to do if the idea is to permit it. I'm very much looking forward to the presentation by PDS on the 13th. I hope that will answer questions or concerns before I address it.
Yeah, just for what it's worth, like, it looked like state law said that cities and counties have a choice of three things to do. One is prohibit it, two is put to a vote, citizens, and three is zoning. There's no, just,
But if it's permitted, there's some questions I have. I mean, I think it becomes a big zoning issue at that point, because anticipation is we would not want to have a store open in a residential area, for example. Maybe, so I very much, the memo is described as content neutral things, which is fine. I mean, I'd like them to address what they have researched, and then we can determine how to move forward. Probably the first decision would be whether council wants to pass it by ordinance or whether they want to put it to an election.
Well, don't you feel like, isn't this one of the negative confirmation? You make an action, you can't just put it on the ballot. Like, we say, hey, it's good, and then it gets put on the ballot to say.
I think state law specifically said you can put it.
You can just do that, okay, for this.
Yeah. Or even if you said, if you don't want to, or if you say no, and I don't know that process, that's one of my questions. There could be a petition to put it on.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like the property tax. If they don't like when we do property taxes, they could put on a petition, put on the ballot and say, yeah, that's the process. I think it's, my understanding was it's the same.
Well, yeah, but it also be out to a resolution for the ballot. Sure.
Yeah.
Easiest way is probably just add 30% alcohol, state law, said marijuana.
Okay.
Buttermilk Crossing is mixed land use, MLU. What other areas did you want to know?
It was Dunkin' Donuts, Brazil,
It's-
Joe's.
IGA. High Street is mixed commercial.
And there is a factor. Chief, have you read it? I think there has to be, I mean, a distance of 1,000 feet from.
From schools and daycare.
Yes, and you can impose a distance for churches.
You can or
You
cannot.
can, it's not mandatory.
Do those same distance rules apply to alcohol?
It can't be, because you work there and they don't. That summer festival?
No, they do not apply for.
So, Mr. Baker, would the council decide on that? As far as the church example?
Yeah, I think so. As part of the zoning ordinance. That's my belief at this point. As I said, I want to hear what they have to say.
Well, we have a lot to learn, and I'm sure Director Reddy will give us a very educated presentation.
And I would suggest, you may know this, but if Kenton County Fiscal Court decides they don't want to have it at all, that probably precludes it. What the position of Kenny is.
I do not know.
What is the, so we have the presentation, there has to be 2 readings of it, we're going to allow it or not allow it, or put it to a vote on the ballot. So what's the 13th look like? Is there going to be a resolution in one direction or an ordinance in one direction as the first reading? So that way there can be.
That's a caucus.
It's a caucus.
But we can read it.
No.
They get this special meeting test.
The 13th was just.
We had it for January 1st.
Trying to get ahead of the.
How about procedurally, you can do a first reading on office.
Anything else on that? You also have an email in your inbox, so if you want to take a peek that way, you can as well. The Kenton County Planning Commission public hearing. We have an email on this as well. It's scheduled related to the Baptist Church parcel, 627, 629, 635 Buttermilk Pike, Thursday, May 2nd. It's at 6:15 p.m. There's a location written down there if you are interested in attending. And it's related to Midland properties, and they're proposing a map amendment to this particular Crescent Springs zoning ordinance in this area from a R1G, which is a single-family residential zone, to a professional office zone. If you read on, you can read some other things that specifically describe what the applicant is proposing. And really, it's just a simple tweak of changing it from the R residential to professional office. And obviously from that area, the professional office comes all the way this way until the end of almost like Rogers Road area. So you have 2 sets of documents related to the public hearing. Please take a look at it. Please understand it. And if you have any questions, you can call me, or you can even call PDS if you have questions regarding this map amendment request. Any questions on it?
Yeah, so are they looking at tearing down that church or what?
Yes.
Yeah.
That church will be demoed, and that area, if I'm correct, will be turned into like a parking lot area.
Then where the church is will be parking, where the open lot is now will be the financial institution that they are considering.
49 parking spots.
Well, that's my concern as well, 50 more cars on Buttermilk every day.
That's not what they are expecting. They just went with 49 parking spots,
It's a bank.
but it's not what they're expecting.
I don't know, like, who actually,
Well, if it's a 2-story building, there's gonna be more people working there.
It's a single-story building.
Is it a single story or two?
Single, I believe it's single-story. Last I heard, it was single-story, unless I misread
If you
something.
jump ahead, which I really didn't want you to, but on the next topic, you have two documents, and it gets into the specific of the layout for the location.
I just thought 49 spots was a lot for something. I don't think I've ever seen 49 people in a bank in Kenton County.
Yeah, that's single story.
And that can change.
No, I just want to. I don't want to change it.
Director Miller and I met with TDS and all the particular parties that are involved in this, and that did come up, one of the 49 spots. But at the end of the day, that's ultimately up to the developer.
Right, and with that, so my question is that so right now it's a bank, and they get, the proposal is to change it to this new, to be a professional office. If they decide that, hey, we don't want a bank, we want to put, an office building in, it's already zoned, so then they can put it up, right? They would need the permits, but it's already zoned, so they gotta change.
If you look at your overlay, currently where they want to put this structure is currently going to fall right into the professional office setting. So there's no questions about the structure itself. The only thing they're asking is to change that residential to a professional office setting. So obviously they can kind of make it a clean slate for the parking area, because you've got to have that for the parking area, because it's obviously for the actual bank itself.
And what's this green area in the drawing? Is it green?
It's a green space, Mark, behind that location. If you ever go up and walk around there, there's quite a bit of area. There's some area that they're not going to develop on. As of right now, remember that can change, so I can't speak for them. But as of right now, the drawings show a green space area.
Do they want the green space changed as well?
Yes.
That's not what this says, it says the green space back here.
No, I think the green space stays.
It says
Yeah,
R1D.
Yeah, the green space
Oh, yeah,
stays.
this is your, existing RD1 to remain. Okay, all right.
Okay. And that kind of takes me into my next thing on the next page is, and I don't want you guys to confuse this, it's the Board of Adjustments hearing. Bless you. Midland has put an application in, and they want to be heard by our Board of Adjustments. And it's for the same parcels, and April has scheduled a time here at the city building for Tuesday, May 21st at 6 p.m. And obviously, I do believe that you heard back from all of our BOA members.
All but one, so we have a quorum.
So we have one, okay, so we are good. And in that section there, under where I listed some items for this topic, you will see the variance that they are requesting. There's a 1 and a 2. Again, you have all this information in front of you. You also have it in an email. That gives all the particulars with the letter that Midland Atlantic sent to PDS and what their request is for the variances.
So the request is just to move it closer to the road than the ordinance allows.
Yes.
And technically speaking, as it relates to zoning changes or board adjustments, like, not really council functions. I understand why you put it in the report, because it's public record and all that. Like, isn't there like supposed to be some sort of separation, so like we're not political elected officials making determinations and judgment calls on who gets variance, who doesn't, and who gets zoning change, who doesn't?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess ultimately, we as council can change zones, or I guess we can't change the zones, but we can say what a zone is.
We can strategically look at our map and plan properly into the future if we would want to think about changing this zone or that zone into a certain zone. I mean, it has been done before.
Councils can do that.
Well, the administration and council.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
As far as economic development goes, you do see that in some cities that they do discuss that.
But on a particular request from a
developer, whoever, if you don't get involved. Yeah, right, okay. I mean, the VOA, obviously, they're their own entity, so their decisions. Right.
Yeah, the Board of Adjustments, we should stay totally out.
Yeah. Now, the planning commission will send an email and a letter to us, all of us, and they will, talk about their findings from PDS staff point of view. Yeah. So.
The only reason I brought it up is because it seems like whenever zoning or variance topics come up at council, it's like a hot discussion among all of us, but really we're not supposed to probably comment anything on it.
I try to be as transparent, because you're right, it is a hot topic, and I don't want you guys to be blindsided. Okay. Next part is the budget process for 24-25. The preliminary draft was presented to the Finance Committee last week. The final present and discussion will be at the May Finance Committee. Now, everybody needs to remember that has been moved to May 7th at 4 p.m. So now this is a special meeting because it has been moved from its original time. I would recommend that we have a budget discussion on the agenda for the Monday, May 13th caucus meeting. Obviously, I had that highlighted, but I wanted to get, council's thoughts and the mayor's thought and go from there. I think it'd be great.
Yep, I'm good with it.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Plan is to have the first reading on May 28th, which is a Tuesday. Remember, that's been moved. And then the second reading would follow up in June on the 24th. And we have received both the Fire Authority and the Villa Hills Police Department budgets for 24-25.
So with that, when is the public hearing, the budget public hearing meeting? Is that on the 28th or the 24th?
We
don't
There's no
have,
public hearing.
there's no public hearing.
There was last year.
No, that was property taxes.
That's
Oh,
just
taxes,
property
okay.
tax.
Not bad.
I think the fourth meeting in a row you confused.
Dude, I'm trying so hard not to sneeze right now. Sorry. But I just know that there's some watchdogs that want to know.
That's good.
And I'd rather get it out early and often.
Bill, Mark, you guys have anything to pass on that end? April?
No.
Okay. Mayor?
Nope.
Crescent Springs E21 process. The group met last week virtually. We covered sections related to landscaping, screening, and buffers. The next meeting has been scheduled virtually for Wednesday, May 8th at 3 p.m. And lastly, the Charters of Freedom dedication ceremony is still on, and it's just a reminder. It's scheduled for Sunday, May 5th at 2 p.m. And the program should last most probably around 30 minutes to about 45 minutes. And on that last page, I did list 2 pics. Obviously, one pic showing the Baptist site, but also a pic showing the actual yard signs that they do post up in these areas when they do something like this. Because I know that can be a hot button as well. Mayor Darby, that is all I have, unless there's any questions.
Sir, any questions?
Hey, Mike, I had a couple residents reach out about the, on the city cleanup thing that we did last year. Do we have a date or anything for that?
April Robinson.
We do, and
18th of May, I believe.
18th of May?
I think so.
Okay.
but it will not be the same as last year.
Yeah.
It's going to be trash for dumpsters only, and we're looking for paper shredding as well.
Okay.
So we won't be accepting any hazardous materials or tires or paint.
It's more of a controlled
Do we have like,
environment.
so if I got like a paint, what should I do?
There is a
Like, I mean, just,
Kenton
just
County cleanup this weekend.
Yep.
So if they want to get rid of anything hazardous, they need to,
yeah, I'm just saying, because to Don's question, they remember last year they brought all this stuff.
right.
Now if they can't do that this year, you should just say, hey, if you got paint, this is what you can do with it. We're not accepting it. Just like a quick, big, major changes. Like, hey,
Yes,
we're accepting tires.
when we advertise for it, we'll have all that in there.
Considering the amount of pay you collected last year, I can't.
Are we
Oh
still,
my God, that was.
I think didn't we discuss maybe doing 2, or are we just gonna do 1?
I think we're just
Spring,
doing one
Okay.
for now.
We have discussed,
Yeah.
we would like to get in a habit maybe of doing one in the spring and one in the fall.
Yeah.
Kind of a spring cleanup, a fall cleanup, and do keep in mind we are partnering with the city of Villa Hills as well, so they are assisting on this as
I
well.
mean, we had the whole county here last time. It was crazy.
That was crazy.
I think we realized, we learned some things, some growing pains.
Right, it took over the whole side of the lot. That's crazy. Yeah. And this is a 1 day only, right? Is it limited to, and it's during normal office hours, right? So there's no overnight dropping and stuff like that?
It's Saturday from 8 to 2.
Are we limiting it to Crescent Springs and Villa Hills residents?
Yes.
So
Yes.
somebody will be checking IDs this time?
Yes.
Yeah, we had a lot of new developers that would come into the city building lot and actually dump off some of their items. And I do have to reiterate, Mark Chapman did an amazing job last year at this. He worked his tail off. I mean, everybody did, but Mark especially, he went above and beyond. And it was hot.
Oh my God, yeah.
Don, anything else?
No, that's it, next.
Okay, thanks.
The sidewalk that you and I talked
She-
about, I just wanted to make sure it's perfect.
Director Miller.
I just got a few things. I do want to talk about the cleanup. I do know that April has been putting, the county has different dump days and hazardous waste and SD1, and I know you've been putting it on Facebook. This says where everything goes. That kind of answered his question. I just wanted to say that. Just a few things, talking about the sidewalk on Wood Hill. So Meadowwood.
Okay.
Meadowwood. Starting at the Colonial Village, coming up towards Buttermilk.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like a
Yeah,
10-foot section.
There's 4 sections.
Oh, I don't know, 4 sections of sidewalk?
4 sections of sidewalk that need to be ADA compliant. So what we did is, I have TMS. They are going to come out and they're going to fix those 4 sections for us. And they said it'll be about May when they come out.
So for everybody catching up here, as you're coming down Meadowwood and you're going into Crossings, there's the apartment complexes on the left-hand side. What I saw and what spawned the conversation and took a picture and sent it to Mr. Daly was that there's a woman there and she had her daughter on her lap and she was in a motorized wheelchair and she was bobbing so far back and forth because she had to go from the parking lot to the off-roading, through the grass and through ruts to get to the sidewalk, where it wasn't safe to go out onto the road because there was no re-entry back to the sidewalk. So I took a picture of that spot and said, hey, is there anything we can do? Which has spawned this conversation. And it sounds like it's bigger in scope than just that one section that I took a picture of.
Yes, so there's 4 locations of our section of sidewalks there. And this has kind of been a process of getting things together because we actually know the young lady that does that. So we want to make it as safe as possible for her. So TMS is pretty quick about reaction and getting it done. So he said he'll be here in May and it'll be done before June.
Who's TMS? I'm sorry.
TMS is a concrete company. They actually did the sidewalk that goes, Wood Hill sidewalk. They did Squire Hill, that concrete patch job. So
Do you know if Villa Hills is doing a similar thing on their sidewalk, or is that one's getting the same issues?
I do not know.
What I saw, Bill.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. What I saw, Bill, was she was coming out with her daughter to take her to the bus stop, so she wasn't going further down. So, I mean, you're spot on, but just what prompted my, hey, can we do anything about this was that.
When if I could interrupt briefly, a constituent reached out to me about potholes on Meadowwood.
Oh, yeah.
But that was a Villa Hills thing, so you guys already talking to Villa Hills about?
Yeah, I sent both the same email
Okay.
I forwarded it to him just so he would know.
Okay.
And they're kind of in the same boat as we are. We're just band-aiding that until the construction is finished. And then once the construction's finished, it's kind of in our plan to go together and get that stretch taken care of.
Do you have an end date on when the construction's gonna be done? Because,
So-
I mean, I live a street over and I have no idea.
26, 27 is where we're gauging it.
The more you know.
Hopefully sooner, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
That's 2,126.
So
Right.
they have an amortization schedule when they have to be done by. Like it's not, they have to build them. That's what it was in my contract at least. I mean, I'll try to figure it out, but it's in there. You buy, if you know someone bought a new house, it's in their agreement. The HOA, it's listed out in there.
And then just one more thing, I just want to let everybody know with it being warmer and all the cable companies, the water district, SD1, a lot of things, you'll see companies out. I just want to remind everybody that they have the same right of way as us, and they don't have to notify us of any work that they're doing within the city unless they have to shut down one of the city streets. So I just want to let you guys know, if they shut down a state street or a county street, they don't have to notify the city. The only time that they have to notify us of any type of work would be just if they shut down our street.
Speaking of, do we know when they're shutting down Western Reserve to go under?
I do not, I still have not heard anything. I talked to him a couple weeks ago and he said they're not in a hurry.
And what's the lead time, like if they say, hey, we're ready to do this, what's the minimum lead time that they can give us?
So I asked him to give us a 2-week notice.
Okay.
So
And
I'm
they were
hoping
agreeable?
he was, yes. So I'm hoping he sticks to that. And then it would be 8 to 12 hour shutdown and then it would be reopened back up. And I believe somebody last month asked about it, if it could be done at night.
Yeah, I did,
And
you said no.
it can't be done at night, just to do the safety issues with them having the hole in the road and things. So, and that's all I have, if you guys have any questions.
Buttermilk Crossing, Riegler, all that stuff, they are doing that work. When is that? You said once the plant fires back up, when are we looking at that?
Right, I haven't talked to Dan in a couple weeks, but I know with all the rain and it's, still cold in the mornings, he was gonna wait till it warmed up a little bit, but I can get an update on that and send it to you.
Yeah. To steal a phrase, I'm in no hurry.
I'll get it to you. I'll call him and ask him, no problem. Anybody else? Thanks, appreciate it.
Anyone have any old business? Anyone have any new business? Anybody have any committee reports?
You already got the fire authority.
I'll just say for the record, for Z21, there was an interesting exchange where the only elected official on the council and the city engineer were against adding a new zoning requirement. Everybody else was for adding it. And so, I don't know whose voices on these committees should take precedence, but it was a little disheartening to see that. But life goes on.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
On the Z21 working committee, it was and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Daly, I think it was a landscaping requirement for new developments. And I think myself and Mr. Greg Sketch, the city engineer, said, well, first of all, there's only so much more development to do. And second of all, we haven't had this before. But it was decided by the rest of this committee that we should add that new zoning requirement.
Which is?
I mean, it's highly tempting. That was our opposition to it. It's like, there's numbers of trees and there's percentages of coverage and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, I wouldn't want that. I got like 30 trees in my backyard.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't be making trees illegal.
Oh.
It was just requiring that any new development have a certain number of coverage or trees or what have you. So, just interesting note. I don't need any feedback.
Any citizens' comments? Hearing nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you all very much.